finally got it.
We are probably 1 week shy of the 1 year anniversary of dropping off the aluminum to the welder. But he has come through, we've got it. The welds are absolutely beautiful. I am extremely confident that this will be of no issue whatsoever. Yeah, it looks beautiful. Absolutely beautifully done. And nicely set up. So this is one piece, and then there's another piece that bolts to the back of this. Bolts into this piece here and through the deck, and it helps distribute that load into that main bulkhead there. Yeah, very, very cool that this is now set and we can actually get it installed on our boat.
Yeah.
And finish up the rest, bomb the top in, opens
This
up
is
a
gonna,
lot
yeah,
of
it's
different
gonna let us
things
do a
for
lot of things now.
As soon as we got the compression post, it was time to fit it in place. The cabin top was raised to a height that let Matt slide it into place, but in order for it to be plumb in its spot, the flange needed to be cut for it to slide in.
Kind of how it's going to sit. I got to shave a bit off the bottom. Obviously you can see it's sitting up high right now, which is good. I would rather have it high than low. So I'll drop that down, and then I've also got to cut this little edge off a little bit. If you see I haven't finished it yet, it's because I knew that this was going to kind of hit there and I didn't know exactly where it was going to go, so thought I'd wait. So I'll knock that over, clean off that edge, cut off the bottom a little bit. Should be able to drop it in place. And then you'll see up here too, I've got to cut this to match that profile. And I didn't want to do that until I actually had this in place to make sure that it's going to fit properly. Just about perfect. The mast template is made. So this goes basically here and here. Line it up. Those spots, and then this little dash lines up here. So you can see there's a bit of an overlap up there, which is fine. We'll get that on that line, and then I should be able to cut this out and have it so it fits up within that hole, that space there. All right, so that's basically it. I'm going to clean that up so it's a little bit nicer. I think the inside, that area that this is supposed to recess within, has some kind of little undulations in it, or little curves to it, so you can see that represented right there. But other than that, should be fairly easy. Now, I just realized I don't have any good grinding discs, so I'm going to try cutting this with a jigsaw. This is pretty thick aluminum. This is a little over a ½ inch, so it might be difficult to do that. I'm not 100% sure if it's even going to be possible with my little jigsaw. If not, then I'll have to get some discs and try cutting it later. Let's see if I can actually do this. I have a hopefully good blade in here for this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go wide, and then I'll come back and grind it down and get it to the right shape. I'm going to need to do a little radius on it too, so take the router to it and get that done. But let's see how it goes with the jigsaw.
Almost finished now, just letting the jigsaw cool down a little bit. But Matt went through and ground.
Just quick grinding of the edges to bring it back down to the black line that we were cutting. Once this piece gets off, I'll do that as well. And you can see I kind of just did a slight little radius on the edge. Still need to go through and clean that up, but should be all set. So like, bye. The adhesive we're using to bond this flange down and bond our cabin top down, of course, doesn't play well with cold weather. It wants it warm. So we got to figure out a way to be able to heat this structure, heat everything, and make sure that we're getting a nice even temperature on the outside and inside of this flange, which is pretty pressed up into place. To do that, I need to pull these insulated pieces out that we just put in. And what we'll do is we'll run a big tarp over the whole top of this. And then that should allow the heat to be able to both get in here and get on the outside of this to allow a full cure through that whole thing.
All of our hard work of fitting in windows the other day is gone. But we do have a very large roll of plastic down here that's going to go on top of the cabin top and heat it, hopefully. So time to get that on. Now covered the entire boat front to back, side to side in a very large 4mm tarp. And we've got the propane heater sitting here. Matt's attaching a new canister propane to see if we can keep this area warm enough over the next few days to bond down the cabin top. So we could normally heat the inside space, but we also need it to, like heat through here on the other side there. So hopefully this will let heat stay in there. I just pulled our thermostat out of the front heated head, so it's not actually 68 degrees in here. We're gonna let that get to a regular temperature, or whatever it actually is inside here. Get the propane heater going, and see if that, plus maybe one or two of those little space heaters, is enough to keep this space warm to bond in the cabin top. Still dropping propane in the head, but now we'll have to see what that does. What's the surface right now?
40.
48. See up there too.
43.
Got up to 66 degrees. Matt said he wanted to get it to 70 before turning it off, and that was 30 minutes, so I think this may work. We have just gotten off of maybe 3 days of freezing temperatures, and my sweatshirt might be a little dusty. We haven't had a chance to do laundry either because of frozen pipes. But now the temperature has jumped up about 15 degrees, so that means we can get some bonding done. And today is finally the day that we can bond down our cabin top after having first gotten it in place over a year ago, because now we have the compression post in place, we have everything set to go. So this is going to change a lot of things for us. I can hear the propane heater going. Looks like Matt's getting the temperature up inside. Now that we've got the heater blasting and warming things up, that gets pressed together. You know, might have some overflow. It's gonna fall here, but it will also allow us to climb up on these spaces. So right now Matt is cutting some rags. We're gonna go through and wipe that surface with acetone to prep it. And then I think we can start mixing the methacrylate slash methacrylate. That's the easiest spot to reach.
Oh, easier from the inside.
Got our batches of methacrylate from.
Methacrylate.
This time we're going to go by what, volume instead of percentage?
This time we're going to do volume instead of weight. So we're going to do 2 liters. It's a 10-to-1, so 200 milliliters then. Simple math. Mix it up in the big guy, and then transfer that over to our bags.
And then go put a bead.
And then put a bead along there. So it's going to be a bit of a process. The way that we have to do it is we're going to put a bead on the outside of this, because as you've seen, there's a bit of a gap on the inner part of the flange. So we'll put a bead on there, drop the whole thing down, which should hopefully push some of that from side to side. And what we'll do then is we'll go through and we'll be able to, there's enough of a gap that we can apply more of the adhesive on the inside. So we'll squirt that into whatever gap remains, and then use those little wooden cleats to push it up and compress that in there. Any of the squeeze out will get transferred over to the other side, so we'll be able to use that in the other places. And we'll kind of see how this works. Best part about this is the stuff that we have now, the adhesive, is a 120 minute, I think, work time, which is incredible. It's going to give us a chance to do this hopefully stress-free, because the way we like it, it's just Jess and I doing this. And we shouldn't be running around too crazy this time, I think.
This is the one bad side about not doing a weight, is that it can get a little messy.
Which this stuff isn't that liquid.
It's quite thick.
Yes. Wait.
And now for the base. That's gonna take a bit of scraping. So we can't just pour that in. Makes mixing primer seem a lot easier.
It'll make a lot of things a lot easier.
One of the reasons why this stuff is popular with boat builders, down in Florida is where you see a lot of it, in the Carolinas, the side grip, is it's unlike Plexus, which is its kind of competitor. This stuff doesn't run as much. When you squirt it into place, it will hold its position. As you can see, that's part of the fun with it, is it is so incredibly thick.
Yeah. Good for working with once it's mixed.
Yeah. Oof, that's small.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got our 2 containers, 2 liters, 200 milliliters. Now it's time to mix it all together. And usually when we have a very short work time, this is the most stressful, because it takes like half of the time just to get it fully mixed together before we can even apply it. Okay, your time on the clock is 11:10 a.m. 2 components to come together. We have, well, actually a decent amount of time, but we're not going to pretend like we're going to go slow. the last bag from our second container, so 4 liters has got us about halfway.
Oh, that's so much.
That's about halfway through the sill here, but he's done all of this and up to the compression post there. So, gonna mix 2 more jugs before we can even lower. Alright, it's time to bond the compression post. Woo! That's it. Put it clean and then just base here as well. Maybe a bit there. The methacrylate Matt is using here cures in like 10 minutes, so this has to be a super fast and accurate project. He's got the gun, so I'm just gonna get that base part loaded up, hopefully the top here, and then get that into place and lower our cabin top. Fingers crossed this all goes to plan. On the cabin top, keeping the outsides together. Compression post is in. Got it bolted down here, and also lots of the methacrylate keeping it together up there. So what's nice done with this little ring paint. I think starting here and working around, we're just going to take the cleats and try and fill the inside and get the inner parts connecting with the countertop. They started squeezing some extra methacrylate into the inside. And now Matt is going through and cleating it just to press it tight. And
Gonna fill in some of the gaps.
Yep.
So it needs to be at least a 3mm gap, otherwise it doesn't get its full strength, which won't be a problem because we definitely got that around here. Yep. So going through, trying to get this tightened up. Really for structural purposes, we only need about a 1-inch wide band here that actually has adhesive, but we might as well get the full strength of this. So we are going through and backfilling through here, and then pressing it up so we get a full squeeze out. You can kind of see it up there, what that looks like. Have not done this area yet because that's going to take some real force to get that bent because it's such a strong section through there. The MMA that we're using can go gap fill up to 1.5 inches, which is insane for even full strength with that. So in theory, we could just kind of fill that section and call it good. We'll see. We're just going to keep going around and filling stuff up and see where we get.
We have got the propane heater running full blast, which means Matt is tied to the boat for a little bit. I am covered in dust and methacrylate and just other things. And just like always, it got done, but it was a longer and harder process than we thought, especially getting the inside area bolted up. All of our methacrylate started curing, luckily not too fast, but it was hardening before we thought. So the good thing is that means it should totally harden. We don't have to worry about the temperature being too low in there. I'm just gonna run that heater for a while, check back on it later, but now I'm gonna go shower, probably have a gin and tonic.